WHYSLP Eau Claire.
You're listening to The Bear's Den with Poppa Bear on listener-supported WHYS, Eau Claire's community radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Very special edition.
And a very special edition indeed. This is The Bear's Den with Poppa Bear. And today we have live Big Chris Flores at Rehab Studios in Los Angeles, California. And we're going to talk about Chris's career and a special project with Slash that's about to release. Big Chris, thank you so much for joining me today on the Wise Radio.
Hey, what's up, Gary? How are you, brother?
I am fine today. Say, Big Chris, would you start us out today with your background and your musical roots?
Okay. I come from a background. I have everybody on my dad's side of the family is musicians. You know, my grandpa played piano. My dad and my stepmother, they played jazz music, and my dad was a producer in Mexico back in the early 50s, producing some rock music. And my grandpa played piano, at the parties around the house, and my uncles would sing around. So it was just, I grew up in a family of musicians. They played country in Cancun. My dad played jazz in Cancun with my stepmother. And so it was just everywhere I went, I'd go to my dad's gigs and watch him. He'd make me get up on stage and sing It's a Small World or something when I was like 4 or 5. So I just, I was doomed to be in the music industry. And then, so I lived in Cancun for 6 years, playing salsas, cumbias, merengues, reggaes, and cha-chas on a boat. And then we'd make it to the club at 11 o'clock at night and just play rock songs all night, sing and play guitar there. And then we'd party all night in Cancun and get to the boat by 9:45 in the morning and play our songs over and over again, and then start the day all day, 6 days a week. And it was the funnest time of my life. And I lived in Cancun, Mexico for 6 years. So, after 6 years, I ended up getting kicked out of Mexico for working without papers. I'm the only white guy you're probably going to meet that got kicked out of Mexico for working without papers. But anyway, came over here to L.A. and was going to go to Berklee College of Music, but ended up going to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, which was a good choice after I look back at it now. And so I took 2 years of guitar there, and then ended up taking some sound engineering classes. And straight from there, I ended up passing out resumes. Back before the internet, I had to drop off 11 resumes a day in my car. And finally, I just landed a gig over at Babyface's studio in '95, I think it was. And I didn't really know who Babyface was. I'm kind of notorious for not knowing who anybody is. So anyway, I didn't know who Babyface was, and so I'd been working there for a few days, about a week over at Babyface's studio before the manager showed up. She was away on vacation, and she's like, she was the one who hired me. And she's like, "So you met Babyface?" And I was like, "No, I haven't met him yet." He's like, "Dude, I'm fucking Babyface." I was like, "Oh man," we were cracking jokes all month, all week, and I was thinking I was just talking to another assistant. But it turns out that was Babyface, and it was pretty eye-opening and embarrassing. But nevertheless, I did that for a year and a half and got to work with some really great artists, like the Rolling Stones, Boyz II Men, and Vogue, Kenny Loggins. That was right when Usher got signed to LaFace. So, a lot of this pop R&B started rubbing off on me. I kind of soaked up all that stuff from Mexico. All the salsas and all those Latin rhythms, I kind of soaked all that stuff up. And then working with Babyface, I soaked up all that R&B stuff. And then I did that for about a year and a half, and then ended up getting hired as a chief sound engineer for a company called Kingpin Records. And that's where who was it that was there? It was Bone Thugs and Harmony. It was Mo Thugs. It was Casey and JoJo. It was just I was like the only white guy within a 10-mile radius at that place. And they were notorious for showing up late for sessions. So during that time, I'd like have enough time to really create a whole track while they were, before they even showed up. And one time they showed up, and I was in the middle of a track, and they're like, "Damn, that's a big track. We're gonna start calling you Big Chris." And I was like, oh, no. So that's where the name came from, Big Chris, because I wrote big tracks. And, and then I ended up starting getting some credits with the name. And I was doing all hip-hop. So, with the credits, and I just had to just keep the name. So now it's just kind of, I keep it. I don't really fit the look, but I keep it. And so then, after, a few years of doing that, I lived next door to this poet. And the poet asked me, he's like, hey, can you do some tracks around my poetry? And I was like, sure, whatever. So we'd run the cable from my apartment to his apartment, which was down the hall, and we'd do sessions. And then one day he said, hey, dude, my cousin wants to come over and meet you. He likes the stuff that you did. And I was like, well, who's your cousin? I was like, he's Cedric. He's Cedric the Entertainer. And I was like, Cedric the what? He's like, oh, yeah, Cedric the Entertainer. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He wants to meet you. So I was like, okay. So Cedric came over, and he's like, hey, man, I dig your stuff, man. Can you do reggae? I was like, sure, why not? I can do reggae. He's like, cool. So he gets and runs into my bathroom and sets up the mic in there and does his bass line, and then leaves and says, hey, so let me see what you can do. I gotta leave tomorrow morning for this movie I'm shooting. And I was like, okay. So I did this on a little 8-track recording and made this reggae track, and he took it over to, it turns out he was doing the original Kings of Comedy. It turned out to be the biggest grossing comedy tour in history at the time. And it went so well with that song, they used the song and he performed it in the movie, that he just took me to Guitar Center one day and spent $10,000 on me to get me a new studio. He's like, damn, if you can do that on 8 tracks, let's see what you can do with this. And then he never had me sign anything. And, he's like, just give me half the publishing on 10 songs. Well, it took me 10 years to get publishing on 10 songs, but I ended up, we ended up squaring away on the deal. We've been friends ever since. And he kind of got me started. He lit that fire under my ass, so I started my record company, Mood Swing Records, which is, I call it Mood Swing because it's pretty much, with all of my background, it was pretty much whatever mood I was in, I'd just do a track that day. And I used to do back then a track a day, so there would be hip-hop tracks, pop, there would be R&B, there would be some Latin stuff. I was just doing anything that, I wasn't thinking about what I was doing. I was just throwing paint at the canvas. And then, fast forward a few years later, I finally had my son, Sage, and my son, we're going to the park, and I was like, is that Eddie Van Halen over there at the park? I live in Hollywood, so I was like, it'd be. So I went over there, got closer. Turns out it was Slash sitting there at the park with his son, London, who's the same age as my son, is 2 years old at the time. And I was like, so we got into a little conversation, and the kids were playing, and then went home. I think it was about a year later, put my son in preschool, and there was Slash and London again. They were in the same school, so we started getting invited to, parties and stuff like that. He knew I was a producer. He's like, hey, one day he said, hey, you want to score a movie? And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So he's like, he shows up, at my studio one day with a 5-watt Marshall amp that he had like a little lunchbox and his guitar, and I was like, are we going to score the movie with that? And he's like, yeah, we are. So we did. We started our first song with that. Actually, the first song that we did for the movie was Beautiful. It was the instrumental for Beautiful Dangerous, which he later released on his album. But then after I started working with Slash for a while, started getting out, I was starting to get phone calls from like all these rockers and everybody that either had been in rehab or needed to be in rehab, and, everybody was just coming over here. So I had to change mine to Mood Swing Records, called it the Rehab Studio. At least, I figured some people would, at least they wouldn't be lying when they said they went to the rehab. So, so that's how the Rehab came about. And I started getting into rock albums, and so I was doing that for a while, and, we probably worked on about 20 songs for the movie, and a good handful of those turned in. He reworked into songs for his album. So it's been a good run. And then, so that was a while ago. The album finished, and Fergie was over here. She was doing the song. She was doing her song, and we had Chester Bennington come over and do. We had a demo. I think it was demo number 3. Fast was the name of the instrumental, and. until Chester got on it, and at that point, it turned it into the full song. But he ended up not being able to use it on the album because Linkin Park was also doing an album at the time, and they didn't want him releasing his vocals on any other project. So ended up Lemmy from Motorhead ended up doing the song and ended up cutting it for the album. But it's been a cool run from there.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and play? Should we play some of the songs we're talking about? The This Is Not a Band with Always Happy.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, This Is Not a Band. Yeah, that one. It was called This Is Not a Band because nobody was in a band together. It wasn't a band. It was just a project, so I just called it This Is Not a Band. But this Always Happening is sung by my brother Mike Flores. It's got Slash on guitar, and it has Tommy Clufetis from Ozzy on the drums. And it was an older song. We never released it. It's in one movie, but other than that, it hasn't been released. And it was before I had a lot of gear, so it's not the greatest sounding song, but it's got Slash, and he's actually playing my Telecaster on it. He's not playing his Gibson. He just picked up my Mexican Tele and started jamming along to the song, and I just happened to have it in record, and that's what came out.
This is not a movie. So we'll go ahead and play Always Happening. We'll be right back.
Some time, now I'm out and I'm at it again.
in WHYS studio, and we have live Big Chris Flores. And Chris, we were talking about the solo album, and how many different artists contributed to that, and was just wondering who was your favorite?
Oh, well, that's an easy one to answer. It was also the hottest one of them all, and that was Fergie. She's a rocker. Fergie showed up here. I had no idea, and she just belted on that song. I was like, damn, she's a total rocker at heart. Everybody knows her for the Black Eyed Peas, but wow, she can sing her ass off and rock.
And that was
anyway, go ahead.
I said that was the cut you just mentioned earlier, and that was
that was the first instrumental we did for the movie. For that movie was called "This Is Not a Movie." It was Olayo Rubio from Mexico. It was the first. It was the probably, I don't know if it's the only, but it was the first all-American movie. It had American actors, and it was in English, but it was done with an all-Mexican crew, Mexican director, Olayo Rubio. I'm sure he's pretty big in Mexico. And they hired Slash to do the score. And so the Beautiful Danger song was the first instrumental. We actually, in the score, Slash does it on his little 5-watt amp, and then we put all the music around it. But it definitely has a good vibe. Not the vibe that's on the album, but it has a great vibe. And then Fergie would get her nails done while I'd be in there mixing. My wife, when she'd go in the house, my wife would do her nails. and then Slash would come over, and she'd be like, my wife would walk in while we're doing the music. She'd like, who the hell is smoking in the... Oh, hi, Slash. So he got the free allowed to smoke in the house card. And then, Miles Kennedy, he did, one of my favorite songs on the album, Back to Cali, which is Back from Cali, I think is what it's called. And yeah, that's one of my favorite songs on the album. And then Adam Levine did a really great song on that album. It's called Gotten, which I think, Gotten. Clifton Collins, a friend of mine, did a badass video for that. Find that on YouTube. It's really nice. The Conspirators. I guess after that album got released, Slash ended up just getting along with Miles, and they made a band, man. And that band has been busy ever since. I haven't had much chance to hang out with the guys, but when they do shows over here, I'd definitely say hi and catch up. But yeah, they've been busy, and they're about to get even busier, so I haven't really had much time to talk to them. But Slash and Miles did a song during that time. I guess Slash was doing a horror movie production company, and Slash and Miles did this title track for the movie, and I ended up by this time Slash had already bought all the same gear that I have in my studio for his studio, so we were like completely compatible. So Slash would track he actually plays piano on that song, and he tracked it himself. I got there, he was done with it. He's like, all we need to do is record the guitars, and then Miles sent over his vocals from his house, which were a little under par in the fidelity status. So it took a lot of editing. I had to literally copy every S from the word and paste it to these other words that had way too much sibilance. It was not a great recording, but it came out after a lot of trial and error. It actually came out really nice. And that's the Nothing Left to Fear for the title track of Slash's movie. You might
do you want to go
check
ahead
that one out? Yeah, let's do that.
One? Okay, and Miles Kennedy actually had a solo album released on the 14th, so you might want to check that one out. It's called Ides of March.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I will have a cut of that later today yet. Here's Slash and Miles Kennedy with Nothing to Fear then. back with you on WHYS Radio, the Bear's Den with Poppa Bear, and we have today a special event with Big Chris Flores, and we're talking about all the projects you're doing at Rehab Studio, and I know you have some of note that we were going to talk about today.
Oh yeah, well, my very first client ever when I opened up my studio by myself was Terry Luce, and Terry was in the band XYZ, and then later went on to Great White, and then also is doing a solo project. But we also had Terry. I was I believe in 1990 or maybe 2000. In 2000, he was my first client, and we ended up doing a few songs together. And we went on to this Mexican, because he could speak a little Spanish. Actually, we did a song that he sings in Spanish, and we went on to this Mexican game show. It was kind of like the Gong Show. It was called Cuánto Cuesta el Show. And it was like, depending on how good you were, they would offer you money for your band to play. Whatever, make a long story short, we ended up winning that show with our song, but Terry had another gig, so when they were before they announced the winner, he had to be gone. He was out of there, and so they had to change the winner to somebody else because Terry was gone, and he wasn't there to accept our award. So we didn't win that one, but he's got a great voice, man. He's one of my really good friends. I call him Pepe because he's French, and he calls me Gonzalez because I'm Mexican. And we just kind of got a really good relationship. We've been working together for years and years and years. And his solo project is insane. He's got these flamenco guitar players, Luis Villegas and Jose Garcia on the guitars, and they've just been playing together, it sounds like, for 100 years. They just play off each other so easily. We recorded 10 songs in 2 days over at Simon Phillips. He's the drummer for Toto. He let us use his studio to record this project. And we got Chris Trujillo on the conga, I play on all the percussion. Chris Trujillo, he played with Tom Petty, Rod Stewart, Black Crowes, Diana Ross. The list goes on and on. So we just had these stellar musicians in the studio for 2 days, and we tracked, I think it was probably 11 or 12 songs. And of those, there's a couple that really stood out. One of them was Whole Lot of Love. And they just kill it. Do you have that one over there?
I do have it queued up. You want to hear something?
Oh, play that, boy. Play that.
Okay, sure will. This is
a
a whole lot of love.
Good.
way down inside. Woman, you need love.
And back in studio, WHYS with Big Chris Flores. And
yeah, you lost me, I think.
We were talking.
Oh, there you are.
We were talking earlier about some of the things you've been working on recently, and do you want to continue? I know that list goes on.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'm doing a country. I just finished a country song in Canada with a guy named Chris Michaels. That's E-A-L-S with his last name. Everybody got A-E-L-S. He's the only guy I've ever met in my life that's got Michael spelled the other way around. But we did a really cool country rock song with a huge chorus on it. It's, it's just a huge feel-good song called, what do we call it? Heaven on Earth. Yeah, it's a cool rock tune. It's got some cool slide guitars in there, pedal steel stuff in there. And then one of my favorite groups I've been working with lately is Rising Elijah. My boy Pete Razzo. He's had a couple of groups since I've known him, but this one seems to be standing out. I really dig the vibe on this group. They got the one song in particular called Sunday. It's one of those songs, it can be sad. You can be sad with it, or you can be inspired by it. It's just got that chord progression that makes you think and wonder, or take you back to a spot. It's a really cool song. That one's called Sunday. If you got that one there, man, I'd love to
have that one queued up as well, Chris. Here's Rising Elijah and Sunday.
Stretch of highway, hands clutch your rosary inside, way tight. The devil's in my backseat with that same drunken look in his eye. Won't pass me by. In a song, heaven help us stop a fall. Sunday after service, I'm back to my sinning ways. Someday, when the wheels start turning, I'm just gonna drift away. Yeah. Snows are falling down a heat wave in June. Hiding inside is on full display when the flowers bloom. And I see monsters in a song.
And that was Sunday with Rising Elijah, and quite the vocalist and guitar player there, Chris.
Yeah, Chase Enriquez, he's the singer on that, man. He's killing it, man. That's a really good song. I just get a good vibe from that song. I know the lyric content isn't really upbeat, but man, that song just gets me thinking. You know what I mean?
Oh, you bet.
I feel like I want to raise my lighter up in my car. I just don't want to light my roof on fire.
Unless you got a convertible, I suppose. Oh, okay. So, and next up is our big announcement for today, and that is the collaboration of Slash and Chester Bennington, who's most famous as a vocalist for all of these bands: Great Days, Dead by Sunrise. He did a stint in Stone Temple Pilots, and he's most well known for being the lead vocalist in Linkin Park.
Yeah, Chester.
Tell us more about what that was all about. And he had passed in 2017, so this is one from the vault.
Yeah, this one's from deep in the vault. This was, like I said, this was demo number 3, Fast. That's what it was titled until Chester sang it. And then he came in and sang that thing and just changed that song completely. The lyrics really speak loads about his state of mind at the time. And, then it's perfect timing because I believe in the UK, it's the last week of Mental Health Month, so this is really a good time to show this song. And I hope Talinda is his wife. She owns or she has a foundation called the 325. What was the foundation
it's the
called?
320 Foundation. 320 Changes Directions.
Yes, that's it. Yes, I'm hoping she really. I mean, the song is hers. Slash gave her the okay to release the song whenever she's ready. And we were, about actually. To go back, it was about 8 years, so many years before, that we hadn't heard the song because the Lemmy song was out, and I was just going through some old files and ended up finding it, and so I sent the song to Slash. I was like, hey, you remember this one? And he was like, yeah. He's like, damn. He's like, that's crazy. And I was like, dude, we should reproduce it and release it. He's like, calm down. Let me ask his wife. And so he sent the song to Talinda, and then about a month later, he's like, hey, can we do a 3-way? So we all got on the phone, and she seemed really excited to redo it. She was actually wanted to release it the way it was, and it was just terrible. It was just me playing drums on the keyboards live while Slash was jamming, and so definitely couldn't let that out like that. So I ended up reprogramming drums, playing bass pretty much exactly the way Slash played it. But we've been sitting on it now for like almost 2 years since I redid it because we've just been waiting for the right time. I guess Talinda's kind of got shelved because Talinda was waiting for an okay from, I believe, Chester's mother or something like that, and we just didn't get an answer, so it just kind of got shelved. And then when you came to me with this interview and, said you had also read about it in Variety, I was like, okay, maybe this would be the time to get permission to release a little bit of it. So I called Slash. I was like, hey, you mind if I play a little bit of this song during this interview? And he's like, sure, I don't mind at all. So he's like, so I called Talinda. It took her a couple of days to get back to me, but she seemed pretty happy about it also too. So let's do it.
Oh, I'm so grateful that everybody agreed to do that today. Let's do this. This is crazy. And a clip from that. And when is the release date on this going to be? You have it decided yet?
That's a good question. People are going to have to reach out to Talinda, or maybe I'm hoping maybe during a mental health month here in the U.S. I'm not sure when that is. I know Chester's birthday's in July, so maybe one of those dates. I don't know, bro.
Okay, we'll have to be in anticipation of that, and that'll be to Prophet 320 Changes Directions. Mental health awareness group that his widow is basically in charge of. Is that correct? Is that her foundation? Yep. Okay. Here we go. Here's that
authority
clip called Crazy. And back with you on WHYS, the Bears Den with Poppa Bear. And we have Big Chris Flores in studio. And that was a short clip of the upcoming release featuring Slash and Chester Bennington. And it's called Crazy. And we'll have to look forward to that. Chris, you got any final upcoming projects or anything you want to mention?
I got Rosita Stone. She's a pop artist that I'm producing in Canada also, who's got a song called Love to the World coming out very, very, very soon. I thought it would be out already, but it's not. So I would look out for that, Love to the World by Rosita Stone. And other than that, man, I think I would just like to thank Phil Taylor at Rock Solid, man. That guy's always spinning his webs and connecting people, you know, and so without him, this interview would not have happened.
That's correct.
So I got to thank him over there for sure.
Common link here, and that he's the one that put us together for this interview, and I'd like to thank both you and Phil and Rehab Studio,
Rock
and
Solid Entertainment. Yep.
Rock Solid Talent Entertainment record label. Everybody can be found on Facebook.
One-stop shop, I guess.
And I'd like to give one more, our rstelabel.com/about for more info on Rock Solid as well. Thank you again so much. It was a great time, a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the opportunity, man. I'm glad I finally got to get this song out there, at least a clip of it anyway.
And I'll keep in touch and we'll talk.
All right.
Thank you so much, Big Chris.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Have a great day. Thank you.